Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our spoiler-free review for Dune Part 2. May thy knife chip and shatter. Hello, I'm J-Law, but you can call me Justin. And if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geekcentric, a podcast covering the world of movies, TV shows, toys, collectibles, gaming, and all things Geekcentric. Joining me for today's review and our trip back to Arrakis, we have the one and only Mr. Nate Shelton. How are you, my
Let's get
Dune head?
spicy.
Yeah, getting spicy.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I'm spiced up.
Let the spice flow is what they say. Right?
Oh, I'll let it. It's
let
flowing,
flow.
dude.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Justin. I'm so stoked to talk about this one. To think that it was just about 3 years ago that we discussed the first Dune movie, and now with part 2, we're Dune it again.
Yes. Doing it all over again. Doing the thing. We got to try to not beat this episode with so many Dune puns, or else
Dune?
we're gonna get it. We're gonna get to it.
Listen, I got big, beautiful blue eyes over here. I'm ready, dude. I'm stoked.
Your eyes aren't blue, are they? They're like a gray
Oh,
blue.
you
Are they
never
a gray
looked
blue?
at. Oh, I'm offended.
I try not to.
You never looked into my eyes.
I try not to. Your earthworm starts to show if you know.
Yeah, my sandworm.
Yeah, sandworm just gets out of hand. Okay, yes, as I mentioned, we are here today talking, giving you our spoiler-free thoughts on Dune Part 2, Denis Villeneuve's follow-up to Dune Part 1. If you've been living under a rock, or maybe you've been living on a desert planet and doing some spice, let me catch you up to speed. The saga continues as award-winning filmmaker Denis Villeneuve embarks on Dune Part 2, the next chapter of Frank Herbert's celebrated novel, Dune. With an expanded all-star international ensemble cast, the film from Warner Brothers Pictures and Legendary Pictures is the highly anticipated follow-up to the 2021 six-time Academy Award-winning film, Dune. The big screen epic continues the adaptation of Frank Herbert's acclaimed bestseller Dune, with returning and new stars including Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Josh Brolin, Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, David Bautista, Christopher Walken, Stephen McKinley Henderson, Leah Seydoux, with Stellan Skarsgård, Charlotte Rampling, and Javier Bardem. Dune Part 2 will explore the mythic journey of Paul Atreides as he unites with Chani and the Fremen while on a warpath of revenge against the conspirators who destroyed his family. Facing a choice between the love of his life and the fate of the known universe, he endeavors to prevent a terrible future only he can foresee. As I mentioned, Denis Villeneuve is the director, and he also co-wrote the screenplay with John Spates, and it's based on, as I mentioned, Herbert's novel. He's also re-teaming with Greg Fraser, who was the cinematographer who won Best Cinematography for Dune. He also partnering back with Hans Zimmer, who won for Best Score, and I believe Patrice, is the production designer again, Oscar winning. From this movie as well. So
Come on.
a lot of great things continuing into it. Dune Part 2 is in theaters globally as of March 1st, so tomorrow. A huge thanks to our friends at Warner Brothers Canada for inviting us out to see this screening with a packed house of people. Definitely all very, very excited. We got some cosplayers there too, so huge thanks.
Yeah, they handed out spices and tea from
spices and tea. Spices for your
David's
popcorn.
tea and
Like I feel like you could put it, like you put it on your popcorn a little bit or something like that. I thought that was pretty smart. And then tea, of course, it makes sense, spiritual.
When you watch the movie as well, there's something they drink too. So. Yeah.
But look, as I like to host these spoiler-free reviews, I always like to kind of set up some pillars, and we'll talk about what worked and what didn't work in these three pillars. But look and feel, that's a big one. Performances and pacing. So let's start with look and feel. And like I said, it's a big one because this is going to be all encompassing. We're going to talk about cinematography, visual effects, music, maybe even production design, costume design. There's a lot for us to talk here in look and feel. And I really think it has everything to do with what this movie does really well. It envelops audiences in this sort of immersive execution of both technique and artistry, blending visuals and auditory elements to create, in my opinion, probably one of the most unforgettable cinematic experiences. So Nate, why don't you kick things off talking a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, just to that, Justin, as an unforgettable cinematic experience. Just before I dive deep into we dive deep into look and feel, I think the first thing I have to say is I learned something about myself last night that I haven't really thought about. But Justin, when I leave a movie and it's bad, I can instantly share my criticisms of it. When I leave a movie and it's great, I can usually pretty much right out of the theater tell you what I loved about it. But when I leave a movie and it's astonishing. I'm surprisingly quiet right out of the theater, and I think this movie left me in a bit of a trance. I was I was coming down from the spice high, and now that I've had some time to think about it, I can confidently say that this is already my favorite movie of the year. I know the year just got started. It's my favorite thing I've watched so far, and I think it might sound like hyperbole, but I do think it absolutely is. What everyone's saying, it is one of the best sequels of all time. But as far as look and feel, Denis Villeneuve, at least for the movies that I've seen of his, I haven't seen a lot of his older stuff. I think I've mostly stayed within the sci-fi stuff that he's done. But he just has such a phenomenal way of world building with some incredible vision and attention to detail. And you brought up Greg Fraser, the cinematographer, Patrice Vermette, the production designer. All of them sort of have just done such an excellent job at kind of getting you to a place where you're sucked into this world. I was mesmerized by this world, and it felt like a dream. And if you're listening to this and you can, if you have the ability to go see this movie in IMAX, please go experience this in IMAX. Experience Arrakis in IMAX because it's unforgettable. It's like you said, it's an unforgettable experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the camera work like is top notch, and Greg Fraser again, he just shows his artistry and his technical abilities, so it's just on full display in
Hmm.
with this film, and obviously it comes with a collaboration of with Denise, but that there's a sense of freedom there and he is exploring things. It really does make you feel like you're in some of these environments, whether it's vast deserts or futuristic cities. And you're
Hmm.
absolutely right, you need to see this in IMAX. The IMAX is probably some of the most impressive parts of this movie from a visual standpoint, in that it towers, the images tower over you. You are again enveloped in it, you are immersed in it. It really does kind of encapsulate everything we're talking about how much it brings you into its world. So you need to see it on the biggest screen imaginable. I just
Yeah.
it's a mandatory thing. If you can, if it's accessible in your area, then for sure. If you got to drive 40 minutes, I'd say it's totally worth it. If you got to drive 2 or 3 hours, then it's
It's
really up to
still worth
you.
it. It's
I would
still
still
worth
I
it,
would still
Justin.
say it's worth it. I would. I
It's
would
still
too.
worth it.
But again, not everybody is gonna make that call too. But
Right.
you know, the everything really comes together in the visual sense, where it's either sweeping shots or intense action sequences. Like, there's some
Hmm.
great action choreography here, but the cinematography in Dune 2 is to be celebrated. Like, Greg Fraser, bravo. Like, I really do think that
Get another Oscar.
I think he
You know
deserves
what I
it.
mean?
Like, again,
Yeah.
you're like you said, this is the probably one of the first things we've seen really of this year. We've watched stuff, but we haven't, other than television. But movie
Hmm.
wise, we've been pretty quiet. So yeah, this, for the first movie, a problem early, like, sorry, for what will be probably the first movie of the year or the first blockbuster of the year, this is definitely top of the list, and a lot of it has to do from that visual standpoint.
Yeah, Justin, there were so many times, and I hope that I didn't bother you because it was a packed house. Normally, when we go to these screenings, if it's a press screening, we'll comfortably sit a chair away from each other, not because we don't enjoy each other's space, but just so that we can kind of have a place to put our coats and things like that. It's cold in Canada, but I will say I hope I didn't bug you with all the giggling that I was doing, because there were just so many moments where I couldn't stop smiling and giggling in the sheer spectacle of what's on
You
screen. And
used my word, bro. I can't believe you
spectacle.
used my word.
I took it. I'm
I'm
taking
I'm
it.
glad you're using it, because you busted my balls enough after, like, Avatar review is just a spectacle, and I'm like, that's what it is, man. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
But when you can fuse such a great movie with all those moments of spectacle, this does such a better job than Avatar. And I think there are just so many moments, and it reminded me of the feeling of when you're on, maybe you're on like a roller coaster, or you're just up somewhere really high and you look out over a cityscape, and it's a really far drop, and sometimes you get those nervous like giggles
Mm.
and smiles, and that's the sheer scale of what's on screen is what hit me. And the other thing I'd say, and I haven't fully worked it out why yet, but for some reason, I was so much more drawn into the world of Arrakis this time around. I think they must have done a better job at showing rather than telling us about the different sections this time around, because I think, and maybe this is more recency bias, but I can't stop thinking about the world and its characters. I had trouble sleeping last night because I was just thinking about this movie, and I felt about this movie in a similar way to the first time seeing The Lord of the Rings, and dare I even go so far? Dare I even be so bold, Justin, as to say Star Wars? The design language, how the characters look, the costumes, their languages, their cultures are so rich in this movie. The way they move and they fight, like you already mentioned, the choreography, it's just so rich and full that it's just so exciting for the world of sci-fi cinema. And I think there's going to be instances where you see Star Wars looking things. There might be some lines and story beats that are going to feel Star Wars to you if you're not familiar with Dune, but Dune inspired Star Wars. So that's bound to happen. And yet at the same time, for all the little moments that I was like, the Star Wars fan in me was kind of going, oh, I think I recognize that. It still felt so fresh and unique as a whole. And it just sort of, I was, again, I'm going to bring up the word mesmerized a lot, but I was just so entranced and so intrigued by this world this time around.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do from, like how you said, the visual language, the design style. The future that it depicts, it's sleek, it's minimal, right? The technology and architecture, it's seen in the sorry, it's obvious in the technology and the architecture. Clean lines, monochromatic colors,
Mm,
throughout specific moments and scenes and planets and whatnot. There's a sense of there's a lack of embellishment and an emphasis on structure and stature, if you will, and that minimalist style really does serve to emphasize sort of the stark severity of the film's futuristic world, and sort of highlight the contrast between advanced technology and the harsh, unforgiving environment of Arrakis. The result is honestly something that is completely fresh, completely new. Even as sci-fi nerds and geeks are going to do as you did, they're going to connect those dots between, oh, that looks very Star Wars, or that feels very Star Wars reference. But yes, it is, Dune did inspire Star Wars, and I don't think that that's it. I honestly think that there's so many different things that you could connect back to this movie or to this world of Dune, like Game of Thrones,
hmm
with its emphasis on politics and the families. Star Wars, obviously, for its sense of sci-fi, but this is completely fresh in my mind. Like I don't like the only thing it really feels like it connects to me with is more of what Denise has already done, right? So
mm.
like even like Blade 2049,
Arrival.
like
Yeah.
Arrival for
Yeah.
sure, right? Like
Yeah.
it's more about how Denise's visualization of the future has this sort of sleek, minimalistic design that kind of speaks to this sort of contrast of order and chaos at the same time. It's really really beautiful. And yeah, the costume work as well, as you mentioned, the costume work, so confident, the cultural touches, so confident. It's like it's clear there's not a there's a sort of an adoption of cultures that are here. It kind of made me worried at first that maybe some people might think of it as too much of an appropriation to take from different cultures to kind of infuse.
Mm,
But there is a sense of freshness, and there's a sense of familiarity with some of it. I couldn't help but think of like my side, like the Islamic faith, to a certain
hmm
degree of how of worship and how prayer was, right? So,
hmm
but to do it so confidently, to fill out that world with all these elements, to your point, there was more to invest in because there was less need to have to catch us up on what's going on.
Yeah.
The first, when we talk about pacing, we'll probably get more into that. But this really was able to allow the world to speak, and the whole galaxy of where Dune exists to exist. Sorry, to explain visually what the world is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think visually, audibly,
No, the
audibly,
sound was incredible. It's married
unreal.
so well with the visuals. It's I think the design and musical score is top notch.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer for the score at least. I mean, gives so much life to this world, and it's the kind of sound that like it strikes you like a blade of a Harkonnen warrior to the chest. Like you feel it, like the like that incredible sound mixed with the Sardaukar chanting. It highlights both the beauty of Arrakis, but then also the danger at the same time. And I think it makes Dune again stand out so much more in the world of sci-fi cinema. For me, this score and this sound that Zimmer's creating with these movies is some of his best work. And I think for me, it's up there with Lion King. It's up there with Interstellar. It's up there with Pirates of the Caribbean, and even scores from John Williams. And I think just like those films, I can I can hear the music of Dune and I can rewatch the movie in my head. And that's how you know those two experiences are so perfectly tied together,
Mhm.
because I can't do one without the other, right? And it's so
Yeah,
good.
the music is married to the visuals. Absolutely. It everything everything Hans is doing is adding depth and emotion. But you know what was really interesting, and I wanted to talk to you about this was actually
Mhm.
that 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 very well known song from the first score with the singing and the sort of
Yes.
the I don't know
Do you want
what
me to do it?
yeah, I don't want to. Okay, so thank you for the audible reference, but
Listen, I did it once
no,
before. We had to bring it back.
yeah. But I have to say, like, that sort of is served as a theme song from the
Yeah,
first movie.
yeah.
And it didn't
It's the
really
main
make its
title.
appearance exactly, but it didn't make it doesn't really make its appearance predominantly in this movie, only at
Mhm.
key moments. And I really liked that because it
Yeah.
harkened back to what the first movie was meant to do was to establish motive, was to establish
Mm.
intent, and then to understand it here. So what Hans brings to this, again, much like the visuals, allowing us to see the world and experience it, the music does the same thing. It enhances everything so that we can experience the visuals and that it's so well done. And it's crazy to think that they probably worked together, but they also probably worked a lot apart and then it came
Mhm.
together, right? And I think that's the beauty of what outstanding filmmaking like this can really accomplish is this perfect marriage as you said to listen and picture and watch and listen, you know what I mean, and hear the elements that intertwine and you know they're just so well associated with one another, so I absolutely love that.
And the sound design, like we were
Oh,
talking about, Dave Whitehead and his team, I think, just for all the reasons that you need to see this movie in IMAX,
you have to
you
hear
need to
it.
hear this movie in
Yeah, the
IMAX. And it's like
bass,
the
the
explosions,
bass was
dude.
insane, oh
When
my
they
god.
plant when they plant like the thumpers, which is what they
Yeah.
used to call the soundworms, like you just feel it every single time. And it's or like I'm not going to spoil who and what, but there is, let's just say there's a pounding of someone's head into a hard surface. And I remember we all, like everyone in the theater was like, oh, like audibly, like just whoa,
Yeah.
like it just, you feel it
Yeah.
so much, and it's so appreciated.
Well, I think it's very much like everyone who's working on this movie, everything is done with intent.
Hmm.
And all those sounds, like even just right off the top, the intense sound, right? Like,
Oh, there's like a line
right?
of text that comes up, and it
Yeah, but
just you,
it was just heavy sound that goes with it.
yeah,
It really threw you into the movie, right?
yeah,
Like it
so
was
good.
really intense. But yeah, I think again it really does summarize the sound, the score, the cinematography, the production. It's obviously great collaboration, but it's just so many great elements coming together. And I honestly think this movie is going to dominate next year at the Oscars in a
Oh yeah.
lot of these technical awards. Even
Hmm.
editing, editing
Hmm.
is amazing. And we'll talk maybe a little bit more about the editing when we get into pacing, but
Sure.
the editing of this movie really does help experience a lot of these elements. Okay, let's talk about all of these outstanding performances. I already listed off all the characters. Um, you know, I'll just open up with the caveat: nobody disappointed. There's probably
No
some
one.
people that I would wanted to have seen a little bit more of, or maybe
Sure.
you know
Yeah.
see where things end up. But at the end of the day, everyone delivers.
Yeah. Yeah,
Everyone
Justin, if
is in it.
if we were to talk about all the incredible performances in this movie, this
We
podcast
just
would
have
be
to go through
longer
the
than the
cast.
movie. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it
And
would.
I don't know if we have enough time to do all of
No,
that.
not everyone. Not everyone. Can I mention the first performance that really struck me
Yeah,
in this movie
absolutely.
was because it was, and the reason it hit me was because I wasn't expecting it. It was a refreshing shift in tone for Dune that I wasn't expecting at all from the first movie,
Is Javier?
and that's Javier. Javier
Yeah.
Bardem's Stilgar. Like we're cracking up from a lot of his moments in the theater, and to me, it felt like, we already made the Lord of the Rings references, and I know a lot of people are, but to me, well, I would just say this is like the Gimli of this movie, but take pessimistic humor and replace it with sheer optimism and loyalty, and you've got Stilgar. And it was so refreshing, and it added so much more accessibility to these characters that I didn't fully get from the first film. The first film, a
It
lot of the
was a lot of
moments felt
serious,
like I
yeah.
was, and it felt like I was from the outside looking in. And here, because of those moments of getting to laugh along with some of these characters, I'm like, I'm right there
That's a
with you.
great
I'm in the
point.
sand.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's go. It was
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, that's funny. I think the Javier definitely was a bit of a comedy touch, but also very very integral, as you
Huge.
will see as you watch the movie. But I don't know. I loved him as the addition. I also loved that sort of charming, heartwarming side of him. The side
Hmm.
that does kind of break down the wall a little bit of seriousness. Because you're right, the first movie there wasn't any of that. It seemed dark and gloomy and very just very serious, taking itself very seriously.
For sure.
But I think again, as we were talking about as we were mentioning with the first portion of look and feel, it all felt like we were meant to experience it, and maybe that's why the story is written in a specific way or structured in a specific way around these characters and these performances, because that allows us to live in this world a little bit more as well, right? Like you said, you
Hmm.
get you feel like you're there with them, because there's this sort of vulnerability, and you get a lot of that from a lot of people
Yeah.
throughout this movie. I'll say Zendaya. It was fine.
Hmm.
Everyone was like, "Damn, she wasn't even in the last one," and she's definitely in this one.
Yes.
She's in this one, and yeah, her sense of, again, confidence is a key word that
Hmm.
I would use for her character, and her relatability of what's driving her. I thought that really serves as a palpable dichotomy
Hmm.
to the bigger picture of what others are working towards.
And I think Zendaya emphasizes that confidence through her performance.
Yeah.
She's perfect in this role, and I love how she maintains herself throughout the entirety of the film. I think there's a lot of movies where, if you've got a love interest situation, that one of the characters fully assimilates to the other character, and they can kind of lose each other. But I think with this, she still maintains such a good chemistry with Timothy's Paul, but it's the right amount. It never feels like too much. It just feels like she really does care for him, but at the same time, she maintains her reservations, and it's a complex love narrative that I was, again, just something that I wasn't fully expecting. I knew that they were gonna hook up based off of what we saw in the first one, but this one, where they're not, what I mean, they're together in
No,
this
yeah,
one. But
yeah,
I think Zendaya killed it in this movie. I thought she was excellent.
yeah.
Can I also mention Rebecca Ferguson? I think,
Yes.
I talked about being mesmerized by this movie. She put me in a trance at certain points in this movie with her Bene Gesserit moments. I think the way she speaks in this movie is like lightning. Like it's
Oh, it
terrifying,
hits your
but
soul. It hits your
yeah,
soul. Like, it's a totally different performance for her. Again,
from the
she
first
knew,
movie.
yeah, well, from the
Yeah,
first movie, but from anything that I think Rebecca Ferguson has done,
yeah.
right? Like, she's always confident. She's always believes the characters that she's playing, very much like Zendaya. But the difference here is that there's such a strike and contrast to most what else she's played, and there's an eeriness and almost a bit of a horror element to her character that
Yeah.
really does push the limits. And I was kind of weirded out with her. I've loved her in everything I've done, and I loved her in this movie, but it was the first time I was uneasy when she was on screen. Like, I didn't know how she was gonna pop off.
Yeah, she's terrifying, but for completely different reasons than someone like Austin Butler as Freyr Rautha, which originally portrayed by Sting in the 1984 film was something I learned today because I looked up
Yeah.
the trailer for that movie just so I could sort of get more into the world of Dune. And here, Austin Butler as Freyr Rautha is transformed in this movie. He does such a good job at becoming this otherworldly being that you can see he has just as much passion and fervor as Paul Atreides, but for all the wrong reasons. And I think he's such a good antagonist. It brought me back to, and I apologize again for keeping on bringing up the comparisons here, but it brought me back to Darth Maul the first time seeing Darth Maul. It brought me back to a bit of Gore the God Butcher at times, and this might be a crazy comparison here, but at times it brought me back to some of the stuff he does reminded me of the portrayal of Satan in The Passion of the Christ. He's a demon in this movie, and it's one of those characters that for me, I see him on screen and there's moments where I'm like, I want to look away, but at the same time, I couldn't take my eyes off him. And it was scary. And he's a frightening dude in this movie. And I was blown away. I was just shocked because I was expecting Elvis. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he was easily one of the best parts of this movie in terms of performances, and
Yeah.
it's because of how much he transformed himself. He becomes this character. We see him very much lose himself to the character, and as you mentioned, it's sometimes hard to watch him on screen because he is so intense.
Hmm.
Um, but much like the villains that we've known in the past that we've enjoyed, like Heath Ledger's the Joker,
Yeah.
uh, is what I thought of in terms of when I saw Austin Butler's portrayal. I think that was very much indicative of someone that in, was uncalculated. You couldn't anticipate, but you knew they were crazy, and
Yeah.
you couldn't trust them. And he played that to a T. Um, yeah, I think he could be nominated for best supporting next
Ooh,
year. And I think
interesting.
he would deserve it. I was like,
Yeah.
he didn't really deserve it for Elvis. And I'm just like, you know what I mean? But here, like, I would say, okay,
Yeah.
like this guy, he really does bring the heat with it.
Well, I do want to. I mean, there's still our main character that we need to talk about. Just before we do, though, I want to shout out Florence Pugh, Flo, as I love to call her. She's awesome in this movie. I think she
Does
is
she
one
like
of
to be
those.
called Flo Poo? Because it's just like, I don't
I don't
know.
know. Maybe not. I'll ask her one day. I'll ask her one day. But no, I think it's one of those characters that I think might be the only one that I did want more of. I do want to see more of because you can tell that she's such a powerhouse in this world. I think they whenever they cut back to her, we can sort of see her character watching from afar and watching these situations unfold and the war around her. But you can tell that at the same time, she's on another level. Like she's playing a different game than anyone in this world. And I think I think the biggest thing about her performance is that I really am excited to kind of learn more about this character. If we'll get a follow-up. We're going to get another movie. So when we get that next movie, I just think I really want to see her in it because I thought she did a really good job with what she was given in this movie.
Yeah, Florence's character is definitely gonna be more important in future stories.
Hmm.
I think without a doubt, there are elements to this overall film that give you the hints that there's more story to tell.
Hmm.
But that said, as you mentioned, she wasn't in the movie for that much, and she really does deliver some great performances. She is one of the people I was referring to before, where I just like a little bit more. The other
Yeah.
person was Dave Bautista. I
Sure.
think
Yeah.
he was a little more sidelined this time around, but it didn't stop him because he still was outstanding and
Yeah.
intense,
Absolutely.
and his
Yeah.
vigor. And the same goes for Stellan Skarsgård as the Baron.
Mm,
Another villain that was hard to watch on screen sometimes, and also you didn't anticipate you didn't know when to anticipate like he would snap, right? So
yeah.
and the relationship obviously with Baron and his nephews and whatnot,
Hmm.
that's that interesting family dynamic was great to see unfold, especially just the three acting performances from that family and of the Harkins alone. It was really really well done. But let's talk about him, the
Timothée
Chalamet, T Chalamet.
Chalamet.
This guy, I don't know. Like I've always kind of been like, I don't know what's so great about Timothy Chalamet. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like even in Dune one, in the first Dune, I was like, whatever. But here, I was rooting for him. I was
Yeah.
excited. I smiled when he made his achievements. I felt for him when he was, hit by emotional stuff. And I don't know. I think he's fully enveloped himself into this character, and it shows in every way in this performance. And
Hmm.
I think it was, as much as this is like a hero's journey story in a lot of ways, it very much is a Timothy Chalamet sort of external experience of, I think, crafting this character and becoming this character, because it's so great to see him uh win and succeed at certain things and moments and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think, like you were saying, like there's an element this time around that the audience, we are Paul Atreides, right, and we get to go along on this journey with him. But I think he's so excellent in this movie, and I'm pretty positive that this is my favorite performance of his to date.
Oh,
I
for
think
sure. Yeah.
he's quiet when he needs to be. He's loud and commanding when he needs to be, and it's always believable.
Mm.
You can see his character transition and grow throughout the movie, and to me, I think that's actually a little tough to do in a sequel. I think to kind of have his character, we're introduced in the first one, but here we really get to sort of spend a lot of time with him to see him grow and evolve and change. And I think at the beginning of the movie, Timothy is playing Paul as someone who's learning, and by the end of it, as I said, I believed every aspect of his character
Yeah.
as a leader, and it was really impressive, and I'm stoked that he, as you said, he's enveloped himself so much into this role.
Yeah, and I think that, you talked about it really well. His character's arc through this story is so well handled, and you feel rewarded. It's
Yeah,
earned.
yeah.
Nothing comes too fast or not fast enough. It's all earned, and I think a lot of that has to do with pacing and structure of the story overall, and obviously that collaboration of figuring out the character beats throughout. So let's talk about pacing, because this
Hmm.
time around, I have to say, like, I really enjoyed my time with this movie. I think the first time that I saw this movie, the first time that I saw part one, I kind of came out of it and thought it was really dense. And I get it. Like, Denis Villeneuve doesn't really want to hold your hands. He's putting you in this world and you're sort of figuring it out. But it was, as you described it, and I think I'm going to steal it from you right now, is it was the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And it was hard to get in. It felt like there was a wall that was sort of there. And you understand now from the pacing and structure of part two how that movie was just set up. And this is where, as we were talking about before, this is where you get to live in the world. This is where
Hmm.
you get to be a part of Dune. You're no longer on the outside, you're on the in. You're understanding more of the people and the culture and all the nuances of it. So where the first one felt external, this definitely, the pacing for this one and the point of view really helped to keep this feel like, again, as I mentioned, a hero's journey story, to what would be hopefully another story. I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. I think it all made sense, that you don't really feel that runtime of 2:45. It's 15 minutes longer, if I'm not mistaken, than the last one, maybe
I
a
think it's like
little bit
10
less.
minutes longer.
Maybe 10, yeah, because it was
Yeah.
2:35 and now it's 2:45. So like 2 hours and 45 minutes is a lot of time. But the one thing that at least Nolan has seemed to have crafted, and now we can say about Denis as well here, is that they know how to do long movies and
Yeah.
structure it so that you really don't feel it. Like, you're moving through the paces so well that it doesn't feel like you're stop going all the time, which I know a lot of movies we've talked about in the past, they do have that problem.
And I think it's one of those things where the things that I love about the pacing in this movie, like you said, like, yes, it's 10 minutes longer than the first one, but it felt shorter. And I
Mhm.
think that there's a really really good balance of who we stay with and when we stay with them in terms of the various families and characters. It felt like we got to experience so much more of this world, not just from both sides, but from all sides, with new characters and perspectives in this film. The story this time around it's still dense, but like we're saying,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel unattainable. And I think it reminded me, like hearing us talk about Star Wars now as veteran fans, I would call us. I'm just thinking back to the first time when I discovered Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, and hearing people that were so invested in that world before I was, and how intimidating those worlds sounded back then. But this movie felt to me like a fast track to learning about this world and the cultures, and I really appreciate it for that.
Do you think you learned more from this movie than you did from the first movie about
Absolutely.
this? Okay,
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, I think that
yeah,
has to do with, again, like I said, who they're spending time with, where and when.
how we move around. Yeah,
And I get that that's just like the definition of pacing in a movie, but
it is. Yeah.
it's a massive story, but it still feels personal, right? Like we're
Yeah.
experiencing a lot of this through Paul, through Chani, through Stilgar, and through Lady Jessica. And I think it never felt too big or that it got away from me. I think I'm wondering if I go back now to the first one, given what we got from this entry, I'm wondering if maybe it'll feel more palatable.
That's why I watched Dune last year, or not last year actually, sooner than last year. But I
Sure.
wasn't going to watch it again. I remembered enough of it,
Hmm.
but now I want to watch it after seeing this movie,
Yeah.
and see how much more of it sticks. Because I think even after the second watch, I really enjoyed the visuals, right? But
Hmm.
I just really I found the pacing and the structure to be so hard in part
Hmm.
one, whereas here it felt loose and more. Um, uh, Tangible, right? And the way you
Hmm.
kind of you move through, right? Like, and you said you might, it might be a little bit more accessible for people because we're actually spending time with characters and less time on the sort of world building elements
Hmm.
of Dune, right? The world has been built. Now we get to tell the story. So
But this
yeah,
yeah, like there's just the fact that we're this feels more like an adventure. The incredible visuals, intense moments, comedic moments, romantic moments. Like this movie has something for everyone
for
in its
everyone. Yeah.
story, and it does that while also not pandering to any one of those aspects. It
Hmm.
stays true to its original vision, and it's still damn good sci-fi. But it still is just a great movie for everyone. I don't know. I just yeah, I'm kind of getting into final thoughts, but you go ahead.
Yeah, well, like if you want, go ahead, keep going. This is our final thoughts, and what you're going to do is you're going to wrap it up with a score out of 5 sandworms. So
Five
continue.
sandworms. That's a lot of
Yeah,
sandworms, dude. Those are
yeah.
baby ones or regular size ones or grandfather ones.
I don't know. Whatever you want. Pick your sandworms.
All right. Well, yeah. So, I mean, this movie, to me, is not just one of the best sci-fi movies, but one of the best movies that I think I've ever seen. It improves upon part one in seemingly every way, like we're talking about. The first one, as we said, is a great setup, but this movie just elevates beyond, and I think it is the very definition of what sci-fi cinema should strive to be, should aim for. I adored this movie, its characters, its world, the performances, the visuals, the sound, the score, and again, it's one of the best sequels of all time. I know this sounds like a box quote. A lot of what I'm saying, I know it sounds cheesy, but I don't care. This is a movie that you have to see to believe. It's one of those films that brings you into its world so much, and it's at such a large scale that you forget you're watching something that's made by people, and kind of sitting on that and ruminating on that fact that this is made by a team of people and it's not a real place and these aren't real things that were filmed. Like it's just I don't know, it's shocking coming away from it. And I'm yeah, absolutely giving Dune 2 a perfect 5 out of 5 grandpa sandworms, the biggest sandworms possible. I'm giving to this movie because it just is excellent, and it's going to be one that sticks with me, and I can't wait to go back to Arrakis.
Yeah, I much of the same sentiments. You know, we've already talked about the look and feel, the cinematography, and the performances. It's all outstanding. I think collectively, as I mentioned, collectively, I think we can agree that this movie is entirely special. It is something to mesmerize at, and you made the reference, so I'm gonna draw it out a little bit more. But watching Dune Part Two does feel like you're stepping into a fever dream
Yeah.
induced by the spice itself. The film, it immerses you in its world with breathtaking visuals and mesmerizing soundscapes, like we talked about, and performances that have you just believing, visuals and visual effects and worlds and stuff that unfold in sort of in a vivid hallucination. And I think a lot of, like, just like the spice, you are left to feel exhilarated and entranced, and that's how I
Hmm.
felt.
Hmm.
I was in awe after I saw this movie. And to your point, it is incredible to watch a movie like this and forget and the moment everyone that was involved in making it. But a huge shout out to Denis and the entire team
Hmm.
behind this, and the cast again for just bringing the belief and the commitment, and for Denis to be so committed and so loved. They've made something special here, something truly special, and something that has so much love in it. And if it's not from its beautiful visuals, whether it's just desert scapes, or if it's just futuristic cities, or its choreography and fight action sequences, or even if it's more the intimate moments that we get from this too on the other side, these sort of longing shots, these more focused shots, everything is done with intent in this movie, and rightfully so. I think this is, yes, the best movie thus far for as of March, as we get to February 29th. It's leap day, happy leap day, by the way. And it is the best movie of the year, and I think it will be the best movie of the year, because there's nothing that's going to touch this. This is wholly unique on itself from a sci-fi perspective,
Hmm.
and I think it's new sci-fi. This is on its own. We know where the influences have come from. We know what's inspired it: 2001 Space Odyssey, Star
Hmm.
Wars visuals, not the actual story, but Star Wars visuals, right? Game
Hmm.
of Thrones, all the things that we've known and love, all these huge popular things, but they've all existed here for a very long time in Dune and in Herbert's world. And it's so amazing to see Villeneuve just push that forward into a new threshold of what sci-fi filmmaking looks like. So yeah, 5 out of 5 grandfather sandworms, maybe even, you know what, I'll go crazy, I'll add another 5 more. I give this 10 out of
Whoa.
5. No, I'm just joking. This is no 5 out of 5
Too many worms.
sandworms.
Too many worms.
Yeah, too many worms. 5 out of 5 sandworms for this film for sure.
Awesome.
All right. Well, that is it for our spoiler-free review for Dune Part 2. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Hey, if you did and you enjoyed the movie, or maybe you didn't and you want to let us know, well, you can reach out to us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to us on Twitter at GeekcentricYT. Well, it's formerly known as Twitter. Now it's known as X, at GeekcentricYT. Or you can reach out to us on Instagram at wearegeekcentric. Keep in mind, we have a ton of other episodes covering the latest and greatest in the Geekiverse, such as our spoiler-free review for Avatar: The Last Airbender, Star Wars: The Bad Batch Season 3, Episodes 1 to 8, and so much more on the way in terms of reviews. We also have a whole bunch of interviews, like our special Behind the Geeks interview with Paul Sung-Hung Lee and Daniel Day Kim from Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender. Nate had a chance to sit down with them both, and they had a pretty hilarious conversation.
It was fun.
One that was both like, had a lot of sincerity and it had a lot of humor, so I
It was
really
like
enjoyed it.
Stilgar. It was
Yeah,
it was
exactly. It's
pretty much
exactly. It
Stilgar
was a
as an interview.
Stilgar sort of toned interview. We also have some Bad Batch interviews. Nate and Meg sat down with the voice of Omega, Michelle Ang, from Star Wars: The Bad Batch, and I actually had the opportunity to sit down with head writer Jennifer Corbett and supervising director Brad Rao of Star Wars: The Bad Batch Season 3. But speaking of The Bad Batch, we do have our ongoing watch club. Episodes 1 to 3 are out right now. Our spoiler-filled discussion for The Bad Batch Season 3 is going. We will have more episodes coming as of March 13th, when I believe episode 7 drops. We will be dropping another bundle of episodes from 4 to 7, and then after that we're in full watch club mode, week to
Weekly
week.
watch club. That'll be
Weekly
it.
week. But that's not it. We got a ton of other stuff coming in. So we're going to be busy over the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts, and be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric, where you can see some of our latest video interviews. But until next time, Nate, thank you for taking the Dune to join me. Doesn't work, does it? No, I was trying to get one more.
Thank you for doing it with me,
Okay.
Justin. Come on.
Oh, it was right there. It was right there. Okay,
right there.
let's try that again.
No,
Hey.
it's too late. It's too late.
Okay.
The spice. I'm already down for my spice high, Justin.
Yeah, I'm still coming down from my spice high. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next time. Until next time, as we say,
Love ya.
peace.